Captain James Walker stood at the wide window of Earth Defense Force Command, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing Mars. His heart stopped for a moment as thousands of lights suddenly appeared near the red planet. The lights grew larger and took shape, massive ships, each one bigger than the largest city on Earth. "Sir, we're detecting over 3,000 vessels," said Tom, the young radar officer. His voice shook slightly. They're bigger than anything we've ever seen." Walker took a deep breath. After 15 years of preparing for first contact, it was finally happening. But nothing had prepared them for this scale. He pressed the emergency button on his uniform, sending alerts to every military and government leader on Earth. Within 30 minutes, the command center filled with generals, admirals, and government officials. They watched in silence as a message arrived from the alien fleet. "People of Earth," the message began, displayed in perfect English on their screens. "We are the Dominion, a union of the most advanced species in the galaxy. We have come to welcome you into our civilization." President Helen Ross arrived, her face serious but calm. "Send them our peaceful response," she ordered. "Tell them we're honored to make first contact." The next few hours passed in a blur of messages and meetings. The Dominion sent representatives to Earth, tall, blue-skinned beings with 4 arms and eyes that glowed like stars. They met in the United Nations building in New York, with Walker standing guard behind President Ross. Everything seemed perfect until the Dominion leader spoke about Earth's place in their empire. "Of course, you'll need guidance," the alien said, its voice smooth and cold. "All primitive species do. We'll replace your governments with our approved leaders. Your military will be disbanded. Your resources will be managed by us. This is the natural order." President Ross stood up slowly. "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding," she said firmly. "Earth is not looking for new management. We're happy to join the galactic community as equals, to trade and share knowledge. But we will not submit to rule by another species." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. The Dominion leader's glowing eyes narrowed. "You misunderstand, Primitive One. This is not a negotiation. This is how the galaxy works. Advanced species guide the primitive ones. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your customs are unsophisticated. You need our leadership." "No," President Ross said simply. "We don't." The alien leader stood up, towering over everyone in the room. "Then you leave us no choice. You have 48 Earth hours to reconsider. Accept your place in the Dominion, or we will remove your species and give your planet to more deserving beings." The aliens vanished in flashes of light, teleporting back to their ships. The room erupted in chaos as officials argued about what to do. Walker watched the arguments until he couldn't take it anymore. "Quiet," he shouted. The room fell silent. "Fighting among ourselves is exactly what they want. We need to focus on defense. We need to show them humanity won't go quietly." President Ross nodded. "Captain Walker is right. Get me every military leader on Earth. Contact all our colonies on Mars and the Moon. If the Dominion wants a fight, we'll show them that primitive doesn't mean weak." As Walker helped coordinate Earth's defenses, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something important. The Dominion had seemed almost afraid of something during the meeting. Not of Earth's weapons. They had scanned those and dismissed them. No, they had seemed nervous when they talked about human customs, human ways of thinking. But he had no time to think about it further. They had 48 hours to prepare for a war against an enemy with technology centuries ahead of them. As he looked at the massive alien fleet through the command center's windows, Walker prayed they had some secret weapon, something the Dominion hadn't considered. He had no way of knowing that humanity's greatest weapon was something so basic, so fundamental to their species, that they didn't even think of it as a weapon at all. 1 mile beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Emma Stone stared at the giant machine in front of her. The device looked like a mix between a medical scanner and a spaceship engine, with glowing blue lines running through its silver surface. This was Project Muse, humanity's best-kept secret, and possibly their last hope. "How are the energy readings?" she asked, not taking her eyes off the machine. "Stable, Dr. Stone," replied Mike, her lead engineer. He studied the screens showing streams of data. The test subject's brain patterns are stronger than ever. In the testing chamber, a young soldier sat in what looked like a dentist's chair, wearing a helmet covered in blinking lights. His eyes were closed, but a smile played on his lips as the machine hummed around him. "What is he imagining?" Emma asked. "A dragon," Mike said, checking his notes. "And yes, look at the energy spike." Above the soldier, the air shimmered and twisted. For a brief moment, everyone in the room saw it. The ghostly outline of a massive dragon, its wings spread wide, breathing what looked like actual fire. Then it disappeared, leaving behind only a trace of ozone smell in the air. Emma allowed herself a small smile. After 5 years of work, they were finally getting somewhere. She remembered the day she had discovered the potential of human imagination. It had been a complete accident. She had been studying brain patterns of artists and writers, trying to understand creativity, when she noticed something strange. Creative thoughts produced energy patterns unlike anything else in nature. At first, she thought it was just an interesting quirk. Then she realized these patterns could affect the physical world. A loud alarm interrupted her thoughts. Red lights flashed as General Robert Banks rushed into the lab. "Dr. Stone," he said, his face grim, "we're out of time. The Dominion has given us an ultimatum. We need Muse operational now." Emma's heart raced. "But sir, we're still in testing. The energy drain on the subjects is better than extinction." The general cut her off. "We just lost contact with our Mars colony. 3,000 people, gone in minutes. The moon base is next." Emma looked at the soldier in the testing chamber, still smiling as he imagined his dragon. "Sir, I need to show you something." She led the general to a secure room filled with video screens. "Watch this," she said, playing a recording from last week's test. On the screen, a test subject created a solid-like construct of a simple wall. When they fired a laser at it, the wall didn't just block the beam. It adapted, growing stronger. "The constructs respond to the imagination that creates them," Emma explained. "They can change and evolve in real time. And here's the really interesting part." She switched to another video, showing an alien sample they had recovered. When exposed to these energy patterns, alien technology just stops working. It's like their machines can't process what they're seeing. The general leaned forward. "Why?" "Because they can't imagine, sir." Emma pulled up a comparison of alien and human brain scans. The Dominion species, all of them we've studied, they don't have the ability to imagine things that don't exist. They can think logically, solve problems, even create new technology. But they can't create something from nothing in their minds. "And we can use this as a weapon." Emma nodded slowly. "Muse amplifies human imagination, turns it into something physical. But sir, there's a problem. The energy drain on a single subject is massive. Nobody can sustain it for more than a few minutes without risking brain damage." The general straightened up. "How many volunteers do you need?" "Sir, the Dominion will be here in less than 2 days. I'm authorizing full deployment of Project Muse. Whatever you need. People, resources, it's yours." Emma looked back at the main lab, where the test subject was now creating the ghostly image of a castle in the air. "Get me 50 volunteers to start," she said. "And sir, make sure they have good imaginations." As the general left to make arrangements, Emma watched the castle shimmer and grow. They were about to find out if human creativity could stand against the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. She just hoped their dreams were strong enough to save them from extinction. The Europa colony's warning sirens filled the air as 3 Dominion warships appeared in orbit. The ice-covered moon of Jupiter had been home to 500 human colonists for the past 5 years. Now it would become the testing ground for humanity's strangest weapon. In the colony's main defense bunker, Dr. Emma Stone connected the last wire to the portable USE unit. The machine hummed to life, its blue lights reflecting off the ice walls. 5 volunteers sat in modified pilots' chairs, each wearing the neural interface helmets. "Remember," Emma said to the volunteers, "don't fight each other's ideas. Let them flow together. The stronger the shared imagination, the stronger the construct." Captain Walker stood behind her, watching the tactical display. "Dominion ships are launching landing craft. We have maybe 10 minutes. The volunteers, 2 artists, a writer, a child's toy maker, and a video game designer, closed their eyes as Emma activated Muse. Their vital signs appeared on her tablet. "Steady for now. Begin the defense sequence," she ordered. The 5 creators focused their thoughts, combining their imaginations. Above the colony, the air began to shimmer. Slowly at first, then faster, a massive construct took shape. It looked like a cross between a medieval castle wall and a force field from a science fiction movie, glowing with swirling patterns of light and energy. The first Dominion landing craft hit the construct and stopped dead. The alien ship's engines flared brightly as it tried to push through, but the wall held. More importantly, the wall began to change, growing thorns of energy that reached out toward the threat. "It's working," Emma shouted, but her joy was short-lived. One of the volunteers, the toy maker, started bleeding from his nose. His vital signs were dropping. The Dominion ships pulled back, regrouping. Then they opened fire with their main weapons. Beams of intense energy struck the imagined wall. But instead of breaking, the wall absorbed the attacks and transformed. The creators were imagining the energy becoming part of their defense, strengthening it, turning it into something new. "Impossible," came a transmission from the lead Dominion ship. "Your barrier defies all known physics." Walker grabbed the radio. "That's because you're fighting something you can't understand. Human creativity." The aliens responded with more firepower. Their ships launched what looked like glowing missiles, but these simply passed through the humans' energy construct, like it wasn't there. The volunteers imagined their defense reaching out, touching the missiles, trying to understand them. The alien weapons suddenly stopped, turned around, and flew back toward their ships. "How?" The Dominion commander's voice shook. "How are you doing this?" But the human defenders couldn't answer. The strain was becoming too much. Blood now dripped from 3 of the volunteers' noses. Their heart rates were dangerously high. "We have to shut it down," Emma said, reaching for the controls. "Not yet." Walker grabbed her hand. "Look." The Dominion ships were retreating, their weapons useless against a defense that could adapt to anything they tried. As the last ship disappeared, Emma quickly shut down Muse. The volunteers slumped in their chairs, exhausted but alive. "Get them to medical," she ordered, already checking their vital signs. They would recover, but it had been close. Walker helped carry the toy maker to the medical bay. "How long before they come back with something stronger?" he asked. Emma shook her head. "They can't. That's the beauty of imagination. It can always adapt, always create something new. They're fighting human creativity itself, and they don't even have the ability to understand what that means." As the medical team treated the volunteers, Emma's tablet beeped with an urgent message. The Dominion was pulling back from all of Jupiter's moons, but Earth's long-range scanners showed their main fleet regrouping. They weren't giving up. They were preparing for something bigger. Emma looked at the tired but proud volunteers. They had proved it could work in real combat, but at a terrible cost to the users. She needed to find a way to protect the creators before the Dominion returned in force. Because next time, they wouldn't be defending just one small colony. They would be fighting for Earth itself. The President's emergency broadcast reached every screen on Earth. "My fellow humans," she said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "The Dominion fleet has begun its invasion. But we are not defenseless. Today, I reveal humanity's greatest secret weapon, Project Muse. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Emma Stone watched the announcement with her team. Behind them, 20 Muse units hummed with power as volunteers underwent training. The weapon we face the Dominion with, the president continued, is not made of metal or explosions. It is made of dreams, of imagination, of humanity's unique ability to create something from nothing. As if to underscore her words, the facility shook. On the monitors, they could see Dominion ships entering Earth's atmosphere. Hundreds of them, far more than they had faced at Europa. They're attacking every major city at once, Captain Walker said, studying the tactical displays. London is already under fire. Beijing has multiple ships in position. New York. A massive explosion cut him off. The mountain above them rumbled. They found us, Emma whispered. Then louder. Get all volunteers to their stations. This is not a drill. Across the facility, people rushed to their positions, but something was different this time. The fear Emma had seen in previous volunteers was replaced with determination. The president's announcement had changed things. Now everyone knew what they were fighting for. A new face appeared on their main screen. Tall, blue-skinned, with multiple arms and glowing eyes. I am First Mind of the Dominion Science Council, the alien announced. Your primitive weapon is impressive, but flawed. We have studied the Europa incident. We know it drains your operators. You cannot defend an entire planet. Emma grabbed the comm system. Maybe not with just one facility, she said. Then she smiled. But we're not the only ones anymore. On her screens, reports flooded in from around the world. Beijing revealed its own Muse facility, hidden beneath the Great Wall. London's underground bunkers housed another. Moscow, Cairo, Buenos Aires. Dozens of secret facilities activated, each filled with volunteers ready to imagine their defenses into reality. Impossible. First Mind's voice shook. Our scans can't detect what they don't understand, Emma finished. Humanity has been dreaming up ways to survive for thousands of years. Did you really think we put all our hopes in one place? Above every major city, the air began to shimmer. But this time, the constructs were different, stronger. In New York, volunteers imagined a giant eagle made of light, swooping through Dominion ships. Over Tokyo, a massive dragon of pure energy coiled around the city. London's defenders created knights of starlight, riding impossible steeds through the sky. First Mind's eyes widened as reports came in. The energy readings. They're stable. How are you preventing neural damage? Emma looked at her newest invention, a modified neural interface that spread the load across multiple minds. Humans are good at sharing dreams, she said, and nightmares. The battle raged for hours. Every time the Dominion adapted their weapons, human imagination created new defenses. When they tried to jam the Muse signals, defenders simply imagined their constructs working anyway. And they did. Reality itself seemed to bend around humanity's collective will. But they weren't without losses. Some facilities fell. Some volunteers collapsed from strain, despite the improved interfaces. Yet for every defender that fell, 10 more stepped forward to take their place. This is your final warning, First Mind transmitted. Submit to the Dominion or what? Emma interrupted. You'll keep fighting what you can't understand. Keep attacking something that grows stronger with every attack. She leaned forward. We're not just defending anymore, First Mind. Humanity is waking up, and we have such wonderful nightmares to share with you. As if in response, the constructs above Earth's cities grew larger, brighter, more complex. The Dominion fleet faced something they had never encountered in all their centuries of conquest, a species whose imagination was more powerful than their technology. And in the heart of the Rocky Mountain facility, Emma Stone prepared to show them just how terrifying human creativity could really be. Dr. Emma Stone woke up in a bright white room. Her head hurt, and the last thing she remembered was the attack on her facility, a new type of weapon that had pierced their defenses, filling the air with strange purple gas. "Fascinating," said a voice she recognized. First Mind stepped into view, his 4 arms holding different scientific instruments. "Your brain patterns are so chaotic, yet they form coherent shapes." Emma tried to move, but energy restraints held her to the examination table. Around her, alien machines blinked and hummed, scanning her mind. "You can't copy Muse," she said, her voice hoarse. "The technology isn't the weapon." "Yes, we're beginning to understand that." First Mind moved closer, his glowing eyes studying her. "In all our years exploring the galaxy, we've never encountered anything like humans. Other species think, learn, build. But they don't. Dream." On screens around the room, Emma saw images from her own mind. Memories, ideas, even her morning's idle daydream about flying. "Every species dreams when they sleep," she said. "No," First Mind replied. "They process information. They sort memories. But they don't create new things from nothing. They don't imagine what isn't real." He sounded frustrated. "How do you do it? How do you think of things that don't exist?" Emma almost laughed, despite her situation. "How do you not? Don't you ever look at clouds and see shapes? Don't you ever think, what if? Clouds are collections of water vapor. They don't look like anything else." First Mind's hands moved quickly over his instruments. "And what if only applies to logical progressions of known facts? You humans, you think of impossible things and somehow make them real." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Another alien rushed in, this one smaller, with only 2 arms and dimmer eyes. "First Mind," the new alien said, "the humans, they're imagining things we can't detect. Our sensors show nothing, but our ships are being destroyed." First Mind rushed to a viewport. Emma managed to turn her head enough to see. Her eyes widened. Earth's defenders had created something new. Creatures made of shadow and light that passed right through the Dominion's shields. They weren't trying to be solid anymore. They were imagining things that existed between reality and dreams. "Impossible," First Mind whispered. "Reality doesn't work that way." "Reality works however we imagine it works," Emma said. "That's what you don't understand. Humans don't just accept what is. We dream of what could be. And sometimes, we make those dreams real." The smaller alien looked between Emma and First Mind. "The other council members are calling for retreat. They say fighting humans is like fighting imagination itself. We can't win." "No." First Mind turned back to his instruments. "I can solve this. I can understand it. I can." But he never finished. Because Emma had been doing something impossible, something no Dominion species could comprehend. While they talked, she had been imagining the energy restraints didn't exist. Not trying to break them. Not looking for a logical way out. Simply believing with all her heart that they weren't real. And suddenly, they weren't. She rolled off the table as First Mind reached for her. The smaller alien, surprisingly, moved to block his leader. "Run," the smaller alien said to Emma. "Some of us, we want to learn, to understand, maybe to dream." Emma didn't waste the chance. She ran through the ship's corridors, following the signs she'd memorized while pretending to be unconscious. Behind her, she heard First Mind shouting about impossibilities and chaos. She reached an escape pod just as new alarms started. Through the pod's window, she saw why. The human shadow creatures had reached the Dominion flagship, and they were bringing humanity's dreams with them. As her pod launched toward Earth, Emma smiled. The Dominion had wanted to understand humanity's secret weapon. Now they knew. But that knowledge was more terrifying than anything their logical minds could handle. Because how do you fight an enemy whose only limit is their imagination? Dr. Emma Stone stood in the center of the new Inui's control room, surrounded by hundreds of mural interface chairs arranged in circles. After her escape from the Dominion ship, she had worked non-stop for 3 days, redesigning the entire system based on what she had learned. "Are you sure this will work?" Captain Walker asked, looking at the massive display showing all 500 volunteers connected to the system. The Dominion taught me something important, Emma replied, checking the final connections. We've been thinking too small. We don't need to link just 5 or 10 people. We need to link hundreds. Create one shared dream. The mountain facility shook as more Dominion ships entered Earth's atmosphere. First Mind had returned with half the Dominion fleet, determined to understand and defeat the human weapon. All volunteers ready, Mike reported from his station. Brain patterns are stable. The new neural web is holding. Emma took a deep breath. Begin the link. 500 minds connected through MUIS, but this time, instead of creating separate constructs, they were all imagining the same thing. A shared dream bigger than anything they had tried before. Above the Rocky Mountains, the sky began to change. Not just shimmer, like before, but transform. Colors that had never existed appeared. Shapes that couldn't exist in normal space twisted into being. Energy readings are off the charts, Mike said, his voice filled with awe. But the neural load is stable. They're supporting each other. In orbit, First Mind's flagship sensors went crazy. What are they doing? He demanded, watching the impossible readings. Matter itself is changing. The 500 dreamers imagined together, artists, writers, children, scientists, all contributing to one massive shared vision. They created a space between spaces, a reality that worked the way they wanted it to work. Through the facility's cameras, they watched as Dominion ships tried to fire their weapons. But in this new dream space, the aliens' technology didn't work the way it was supposed to. Lasers turned into flowers. Plasma beams became butterflies. Missiles transformed into songs. Impossible. First Mind's voice crackled over their communications. You can't change the laws of physics. We're not changing them, Emma replied. We're dreaming new ones. This is what imagination really means, the ability to think beyond what is and create what could be. The linked dreamers pushed their shared vision further. They imagined defenders for Earth, not just simple constructs now, but entire worlds of possibility. Dragons made of starlight flew alongside spaceships built of poetry. Knights riding quantum steeds galloped through vacuum, their armor made of pure mathematics. First Mind's sensors overloaded. Across his fleet, alien crews reported the same thing. Their logical minds couldn't process what they were seeing. Some fell unconscious. Others simply stood frozen, their belief in an orderly universe shattered. Stop this, First Mind demanded. Your chaos, your impossible dreams, they're infecting our minds. We're starting to see things that can't exist. Emma smiled. That's called imagination, First Mind. Your people have it. You've just forgotten how to use it. Maybe it's time to remember. The shared dream grew stronger. The 500 dreamers imagined peace, not just an end to fighting, but a way for humans and aliens to understand each other. They created bridges between minds, paths of understanding that even the most logical alien could follow. First Mind's ship landed outside the facility. When the alien scientist stepped out, his glowing eyes were different, confused, but also filled with something new. Wonder. He said, looking at the dream-changed sky. I think I see shapes in the clouds. Emma nodded. That's how it begins. Dreams start small. A shape in the clouds, a what-if thought, a moment of wondering. But they grow. Around them, the shared dream began to fade, leaving behind a world forever changed. Because now, the Dominion knew the truth. They weren't fighting human weapons or human technology. They were fighting human dreams. And dreams, once awakened, can never be put back to sleep. 1 year after the Dominion fleet retreated from Earth, Dr. Emma Stone stood in the new Galactic Council chamber. The massive room, built in orbit around Earth, showed the change that human imagination had brought to the galaxy. The walls shifted with beautiful colors that couldn't have existed before, and alien technology now worked alongside human dreams. The integration of imagination into our society has been challenging, First Mind said, standing beside her. His eyes now glowed with a warmer light, and he had learned to smile. But rewarding. Below them, through the chamber's clear floor, Earth shone like a blue jewel. Ships from 100 alien worlds moved through space around it, many of them now decorated with art and patterns, something unheard of in the old Dominion. "How many aliens have learned to imagine?" Captain Walker asked, joining them at the window. "Over 60% of our young now report seeing shapes in clouds," First Mind replied proudly. "And 20% of adults have experienced their first dreams. It's like awakening from a very long sleep." Emma watched as a group of alien children played with human kids in the chamber's corner. They were using a new kind of toy, one that combined Dominion technology with human creativity. When the children imagined something, the toy made it real in miniature form. "The medical benefits alone have been extraordinary," First Mind continued. "Now that our doctors can imagine new possibilities, they're finding cures we never thought possible. And your entertainment. Our people had no concept of fiction before. Now they can't get enough of human stories." The chamber filled as representatives from both human and alien worlds arrived for the day's meeting. Emma noticed how the aliens had started wearing colored clothing, adding personal touches to their once uniform appearances. "There are still challenges," Walker noted. "Some aliens resist the change. They say we're destroying their logical society with chaos." "Change is never easy," Emma agreed. "But look at what we've gained. Humanity has access to advanced alien technology, and the Dominion species are remembering how to dream. Everyone wins." First Mind touched a wall, watching the colors respond to his thoughts. "Something impossible a year ago. We thought we were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy, but we had forgotten the most advanced ability of all. The power to imagine something better." The council meeting began, but it was unlike any political gathering in history. Instead of just talking, the representatives shared dreams and ideas through a modified version of MUAs. Humans taught aliens how to imagine, while aliens helped humans understand the science behind making dreams real. "We're expanding faster than ever," First Mind said during his report. "Not through conquest, but through sharing. Every species we meet now has a choice: stay locked in pure logic, or learn to dream with us." Emma smiled as she remembered her fear during those first battles. "And what do they usually choose?" "Dreams," First Mind replied simply. "Always dreams." It turns out, imagination was never just a human trait. It was just sleeping in other species, waiting to be awakened. As the meeting ended, Emma walked to the chamber center. Above her, a new work of art took shape, created by both human and alien minds working together. It showed the galaxy not as it was, but as it could be, as they all dreamed it might become. "You know what the funny thing is?" Walker said, standing beside her. "The Dominion came to conquer us because they thought we were primitive. Instead, we showed them the most advanced force in the universe, the power to imagine something new." First Mind nodded. "And that is why we now say, beware humanity not for their weapons, but for their dreams. Because once they show you how to imagine, you can never see the universe the same way again." Earth continued its spin below them, no longer just humanity's home, but the birthplace of a new age. An age where science and dreams worked together, where imagination and logic danced as partners, and where the power to create something from nothing was shared by all. The secret human weapon had done more than save Earth. It had awakened the galaxy's dreams.